Hello, this is Stacey Adams, and I'm back with another episode of the Rebuilding of Me. Welcome to the channel. And here we're about all things that have to do with what I call the 4 F's of faith, fiction, finances, and fun. And today I'm doing another a component of the story of Nehemiah. In my last video, I talked about how Nehemiah found out that the walls of Jerusalem were crumbling and in ruins, and the city was left vulnerable. And I talked about some of the times that we have episodes in our lives that leave us vulnerable, but we don't have to go through those seasons alone. And now I just wanted to kind of touch base some more on that and pick up where we left off in the second chapter of Nehemiah, how it's talking about how he got to a place where he was so sorrowful about what was going on. His countenance changed, and he was the cupbearer for the king, and the king noticed it, and he even said to him, you seem kind of sad, and it's not the usual. First of all, it's not your usual self, and it's not sadness for a usual thing or something that's been known. So what's going on? And that was a simple verse, but it really jumped out to me about the importance of being surrounded by people who know you. Nehemiah, even though he was on his job doing his everyday uh, skills and his everyday responsibilities, the king knew him enough to know when something was different, to know that his demeanor had changed, his countenance had changed. He was sad. And for us, it's important that when we're going through these life transitions and rebuilding and coming up out of the places of drama and trauma and heartache and headaches and all of those things, that we are around people who know us enough to notice that something's not right, to notice that something's not the same. And in many instances, they may know what the challenge is, because it might be someone you're close enough to that you have shared that with them, or they're in the middle of the battle with you and they know it, or just because of who you are in close proximity on a daily basis. Maybe it's a neighbor or a co-worker, or on a weekly basis a fellow member of your church or your exercise community, whatever it is, to know, Stacey, you seem a little sad today. Or Bill, seem like you're a little not yourself. What is going on? And it is so important to allow ourselves, as we are rebuilding, to not stand and do those processes all alone. Yeah, I understand that there are going to be moments of self-reflection, and there are going to be moments where we come away and we still away, and it's just us and God, or just us and our thoughts, us and our journal, us and a video training or teaching, inspiration. But at the same time, we need community. Man was not meant to be alone in this lifetime. We need people around us who can come out of the shadows of the heaviness that we might feel because of whatever it is we're going through, to still direct us to a place of light, and still direct us to a place of hope and joy and all of those things. And like I said previously, I felt like the scaffolding of my life was being taken away. And truthfully, in all actuality, it was, because the people I depended on the most were no longer here, or had grown or have grown, present tense, to an age where now they're depending on me. Now they're looking for me to support them. So now there's this whole seesaw thing, like I spoke of in another video, of my emotions, yet knowing what I know I need to do. And it's sometimes that tug of war is taxing, and it can be a lot, and it can be much, but it's such a blessing and so important to have those people in our lives that are around the scaffolding. Those are the ones who are on the perimeter of our lives, or maybe even closer to our hearts, but they haven't had to do the day-to-day stuff of the stuff that we're going through enough that they don't feel the tension of it the way that we do. And not so much that they don't have the compassion, because you want to have people around you who have compassion for what you're going through, but that they are on the perimeter in a way enough that they can give you a bird's eye view, a fresh perspective. They can encourage you to come out to play, encourage you to come out to lunch, go to breakfast, let's go to a movie, do things that remind you that life is still worth living, do things to remind you that there is more to you and there is something to look forward to, and there is a purpose and a reason and a cause for you to rebuild. There is a light at the end of all of this. And one thing, going back to the story about Nehemiah, is that when the king noticed that Nehemiah's countenance had changed, he offered support. He offered help. He asked him questions. He's like, well, what's going on? Tell me about it. Is there, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but is there something that can be done about it? Because the person that he was as a king, he had authority. He could make some things happen. And Nehemiah, walking and working so closely with him, he had favor. And so basically, the man was telling him, is there something we can do about it? Is there something I can do to help you? And so just to pause right there, when people offer help, accept it. When they offer an extension or a helping hand to come and do something to help you, whether it's just something simple as, let me help you clean your house, let me run an errand for you, let me bring you a meal, let me do something, let's go to a movie, something to lift your gaze up out of the muck and mire of the challenge that you're going through. And I'll be honest, this is something that I still am challenged in doing, accepting the help, because hey, I'm used to being the helper. I'm used to being the giver. I'm used to being the one who pours into others. I am the one who's been taught through generations that our family is the family that adopts people in, and emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and even literally. My great-grandmother fostered over 100 children, and adopted one. My grandmother fostered over 200 children and adopted two. My mother fostered everybody's kid, and even as adults, her home was Grand Central Station for any of our friends or people from the church community or whatever who needed a place to rest their head and find good counsel and somebody who tell it like it is type of person. That was her kitchen table any given Sunday for Sunday dinner. Every holiday was at her house. I'm used to being the person on that side of the pouring out. So sometimes it's a challenge for me to receive it when people are pouring into me, but I'm working on it. And that's part of the process of rebuilding, knowing that what happened in the previous season of our lives, that we need to adjust, we need to change, we need to modify. This is the perfect time to do it. This is the perfect time to make those adjustments and make those alterations so that in the event that life brings another curveball, we're not just utterly wiped out. We have another layer of support. We have another frame of reference, another thought process that we can bring to that experience that makes us stronger, makes us wiser, makes us feel more supported and loved in those moments, so that we're not going through it all by ourselves. And in Psalm 68:6, it tells us that God places the lonely in families. He places us in families, even when in cases like me, it feels like the world and family is crumbling all around me. He brings people around me. He puts me in places on purpose if I accept it, when I accept it, to say, you're not in this world alone. So when people ask, how are you? Tell them for real. It doesn't have to be the blanket statement, oh, I'm great. Oh, I'm okay. I'm blessed and highly favored. Okay, who doesn't say that? How are you really? What help do you need? What support do you need? And who is God sending to help in the rebuilding of your life? This is Stacey Adams, and this is yet another episode of The Rebuilding of Me. If you want to continue to take this journey with me, please subscribe and like this channel. Be blessed.